The Scottish Conservative leader is calling for more migrants to come to Scotland in an effort to boost the economy. Now, that echoes the plan set out by the SNP's Growth Commission last week. Ruth Davidson's position contradicts UK government policy, which is for lower levels of immigration. Well, our political correspondent Andrew Kerr is at Glasgow University, where Ms Davidson is making the speech. What's she been saying, Andrew?
Yes, Jackie, Ruth Davidson is speaking in the grand surroundings of the Bute Hall just now, saying that UK government policy to cut net migration down to tens of thousands simply isn't working, and it's time for a review. She says it's been there for 9 years and the target has never been met. She wants to create a dynamic economy here in Scotland with more people moving here. And that indeed echoes what the SNP-inspired Growth Commission said last week. We'll hear from the Scottish Government's Finance Secretary Derek Mackay in just a second. But this is what Ruth Davidson was telling me earlier.
It's time for a review. I think that immigration should be UK-wide, and one of the things that I do argue about encouraging more immigrants to come to Scotland is the idea that in terms of overseas immigration to the UK, Scotland gets far less than its share. We've got 8.3% of the population, but only 5.5% of people that come to this country want to come to Scotland for whatever reason. So let's make ourselves a more dynamic economy. Let's encourage more immigrants to come to Scotland.
Our goal must be for Scotland to become the most talent-friendly country in the world. So while the Commission's report is, first and foremost, a report to my party, I believe its tone and recommendations on immigration reflect a consensus that includes the majority of our country and, I hope, this chamber.
So, Jackie, Derek Mackay there speaking about consensus. So, consensus to grow Scotland's economy, but different goals, one of independence and one, of course, of the Union. And, of course, tax breaks were offered to migrants to come to Scotland in the Growth Commission. But Ruth Davidson says taxes in Scotland are too high at the moment. Jackie.
Andrew, thank you. The Scottish Conservative leader Ruth Davidson has appeared to break with UK government policy on immigration. In a newspaper article, she asks if the 100,000 net migration target is correct and calls for a mature debate on the issue. Labour says the party is in open warfare. Well, I'm joined by our political correspondent Andrew Kerr. Andrew, why is Ruth Davidson saying this now?
Well, Jackie, I think it's very clear that Ruth Davidson is trying to spark a debate here. She opens her article in the Daily Telegraph by saying we need to talk about immigration. So just on those 2 points in the UK government policy, she questions that 100,000 net migration target. And the second point is she questions if international students should also be included in that. Now, as you mentioned, Labour say the party is in open warfare, seeing it as an attack on a weakened Prime Minister, Theresa May, of course. But the Scottish Conservatives are saying, well, she's trying to merely open a conversation.
For too long, the debate around immigration has been sort of hijacked by those who'd want to divide us, and I think what's important is actually we have a real grown-up debate about what sort of immigration system we want for Scotland and the United Kingdom in the future.
Well, it's clear that the Tory immigration policy is so wrong-headed and so irrational that even Ruth Davidson's wanting to distance herself from it now, such as the embarrassment that the Scottish Conservatives seem to have about the nature of Theresa May's unstable and chaotic government.
So, Jackie, Labour insisting there the UK government is chaotic and immigration policy is chaotic too. Now, Downing Street said it was a purely party matter. The Conservatives don't recognise what Labour are seeing, of course. But we might be seeing more of this from Ruth Davidson. She is very much an invigorated leader, of course, after her success at the general election. The Tories are saying she's very much her own woman. So maybe watch this space.
Thank you very much, Andrew.